Hey folks, Ben Gilbert here with Engadget, and I'm here with Phil Harrison, and your title at Microsoft, sir?
Corporate Vice President of the Interactive Entertainment Business.
Okay, and the Interactive Entertainment Business is, of course, the division of Microsoft that runs the Xbox and Xbox One.
Yeah, that's right. We are mainly responsible for our console hardware, software, and platform business. But think of us as the games guys.
Right. That doesn't encompass Surface or anything else, does it? Or
well, actually, if you want to go off complete topic, we're in the middle of reorganizing the company. So
right.
We are now part of a larger organization which is called Devices and Studios, which is combining all of Microsoft's hardware and content production into one organization. As you may be aware, Microsoft is reorganizing the business.
Yeah. I actually bring this up on purpose because I know that Mark Whitten I think of as kind of the platform evangelist, and Phil Spencer is kind of the games evangelist. I'm trying to figure out where you fit in this pie and kind of what people see you as publicly, right? Like where do you fit in?
Part of the team, but based here in Europe.
Sure.
So I'm the outlier from Redmond, but enjoy being part of the team.
Okay, and you've got a very interesting past in the game industry, right? You've worked at Sony, and now you're at Microsoft, and you've always been known as kind of a games guy, right? Like there are a lot of you were wearing a suit. You were an executive.
I'm not wearing a suit. I'd like this for the record.
Right.
I'm wearing jeans.
But I mean this to say that you are very much like on the corporate side of things, the business side of things, but you've always come across to a lot of gamers as a games guy. And I'd like to kind of know how that fits in now, right? Like, how are you applying those skills at Microsoft?
I started making games when I was 14, so that's been my passion. And the fact that I wear slightly different clothes than I did when I was 14, I think is just on the outside. The inside is still the same. But it's a real privilege to be part of the Microsoft games and interactive entertainment story. We have a great platform in Xbox One. Obviously, that's the focus of our attention this week here at Gamescom. But it's also about being able to work with creators. That's actually what I love the most, which is to help discover and nurture creative talent and help them unlock their vision or turn their magic into reality, and that is the thing that I get most pleasure from in business is being able to help make that happen.
So the big push here at Gamescom for you folks, at least in my perspective, is the ID at Xbox initiative, or the independent developers at Xbox, and it's essentially a program for getting independent developers the ability to publish quickly and relatively easily on the Xbox One platform. And I'm kind of wondering what your position is in that, and how you were involved.
So we have wanted to open up our platform to the widest constituency of creators, because ultimately that means more great games coming to the platform.
Sure.
We don't think that we as our internal studios have exclusivity of wisdom. We think that there is talent to be found in many parts of the world, in developers large and small. The way I like to think about it is from Chris Hecker to Crytek and everybody in between. You know, those are the kind of the scale of companies that we welcome to self-publish on Xbox One. We've designed the program very specifically in partnership with the developer community. We listened to what it was that they wanted in a self-publishing program, and they told us that they wanted access to tools and technology, so we are giving them 2 dev kits to help get them started at no cost. Eventually our vision is that every retail Xbox One will become a dev kit, but until we get to that point, we will be providing dev kits. We will be providing them the full power of the console, and crucially all of the services that go around it. So Xbox Live, the power of the Xbox Live Cloud, Connect, Smart Glass, achievements, all of the things that traditional publishers and developers have enjoyed for many years. And then the other thing which we heard loud and clear from developers was that they wanted a level playing field. They wanted to be treated equally in the marketplace alongside all games. So we have created that level playing field and built into our platform the discoverability tools that allow gamers to connect with games, developers to connect with their audience with the least friction between the two.
Sure.
So we have put in Game DVR, which allows players to share in video form what they're playing. The marketplace has recommendations and spotlights and trending, which allows the best games to bubble to the surface. And that is something that the developers have responded really positively to.
I guess I'm wondering how this all came about and what the origin of ID at Xbox was. It's something that I think that Mark Whitten spoke to in the announcement, that it was kind of built into the architecture of the Xbox One, the ability to use these as debug kits and to kind of democratize the concept of development. So how far back does this go? And
it predates my involvement at the company, but my understanding is that it goes back to the fundamental architectural decisions of how the platform was designed. The way Mark describes it is spot on. It was to democratize development and to make that possible through the architecture of our operating system. There are 3 operating systems that coexist inside Xbox One that allow us to have multiple game and applications running simultaneously. And that is part of the technology base that allows self-publishing to be possible.
this is kind of a bit of a change, right, from the last generation with even stuff like Xbox Live Arcade, where you guys were pretty aggressive in courting indies like Super Meat Boys and Minecrafts of the world. This is definitely a different approach, and it's something where you folks aren't necessarily being the gatekeepers on the content that gets to the platform, and in that there's also the worry that you could have a bunch of games that aren't so great. So what's the process for making sure that you guys have the best stuff on the console and you're not getting that that flood of stuff and you have to sift through to get something good, right? Like the iOS App Store, for instance, has that kind of an issue.
So in many ways, I hope we do have to deal with tens of thousands of games, because that will demonstrate that our platform is a really attractive place for creators to want to build games for.
Sure.
So that's one of the unintended consequences of success. So that's almost a good position to be in.
Well, you don't want 9,000 Mahjong games either, though, right?
Well, so long as there's 1 or 2 really excellent Mahjong games, I'll be okay.
Sure.
But I think we will measure success by whether new and amazing experiences come to our platform. And there's always been a range of products from a range of developers with different production budgets and different qualities, and that's part of the facts of being in an entertainment industry. You will see some experiences become super hits,
Sure.
and some experiences become relatively niche, but still with a very loyal fan base. And we want to be able to support all of those.
Sure.
So long as great new experiences come to our platform, I'll be really happy.
We were speaking a little bit before the interview about Titanfall you had played this morning, and you said how much you enjoyed it, and those kind of huge games are still a very important part of console gaming and gaming in general, but there's definitely been a huge rise of the indie stuff, right? Like that's become more prominent. It's still pretty niche in terms of the numbers, but it's definitely become a rising trend, and I'm kind of interested to see what indie games you are interested in, right? Like what kind of indie devs are striking you as particularly innovative?
I'm not sure that the word indie is an expression that I particularly care for, because it sometimes becomes synonymous with a small company.
Sure.
And that's not the strategy. We want Xbox One to support scale development from developers large and small.
Sure.
We want this week to make it clear to the world that Xbox One has the most incredible lineup of games, irrespective of the companies that build them or the size of the companies that build them, or whether they are publicly traded or privately held or,
Sure.
whatever. That to me is irrelevant to the gamer. They don't really care about
No.
the stock ticker symbol of the publisher.
It's about the content, right?
Correct.
It's about great games.
It's about great games, and it's about having those powerhouse franchises show up in exclusive and uniquely valuable ways on Xbox One. Here in Europe, where we've announced a strategic partnership with Electronic Arts around FIFA 14. We will be bundling FIFA 14 with pre-orders for the console. That has incredible value for gamers, FIFA being the kind of religion for many people in this market. But on a global basis, FIFA 14 and beyond, the Ultimate Team Legends mode is exclusive to Xbox One and Xbox 360, and that's a great example of taking, one of the world's biggest franchises and partnering with the developer and the publisher to bring it in a uniquely valuable way with an exclusive benefit to Xbox One and in this case Xbox 360 players. We also talked yesterday about our relationship with Infinity Ward and Activision, about how Call of Duty Ghosts will be showing up, multiplayer maps will be showing up first on Xbox One and Xbox 360 like they always have.
Right.
But on Xbox One, the developer is taking advantage of the Xbox Live Cloud to deliver dedicated servers. And this will have a tangible advantage and benefit for players on Xbox One. They will feel the benefit of our investment in the cloud through the game innovation of Infinity Ward. And I think that is a great example of how our platform is providing these incredible tools for developers.
But back to the question, what indie games are you personally interested in? What indie developers do you think are particularly innovative? I think that this is something I think you particularly can speak to well because, like you said, you're an old school game guy, right? Like this is the kind of thing where I'd like to get something personal out of you, on that level.
So we've just opened the program.
Sure.
We went live with the website yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We've been, I don't want to use the word overwhelmed, but we have been extremely gratified with the reaction that we've had and the number of applications that we've had from developers all around the world. What this demonstrates is that there is huge latent demand from incredibly talented developers to self-publish on our platform. It's premature for me to call out any particular one of them yet.
Well, not particularly on Xbox One even, right? Like it could be on the PC or on the Xbox 360 or any of that stuff.
I think the two companies that I think have really demonstrated innovation in this space would be Mojang with Minecraft, and we enjoy a great partnership with Mojang. We're partnering with them to bring their new game Cobalt to Xbox One and Xbox 360. And then perhaps on other platforms, I would call out Supercell, because I think although they're a very large company, they run, in terms of success,
Sure.
They run themselves as a very independent culture. And they're something that I think a lot of companies in the industry could learn from.
Outside of those two, are there any independent developers you'd love to really see their next game on Xbox One?
Like I said, we've just opened the program. It would be premature for me to be giving kind of a preference to any particular one of them. But you'll see some announcements from us in due course about who's part of the program.
Absolutely. Maybe Rogue Legacy or something like that?
There's a lot of rogue-like games, I think, which will be coming to the platform. And that it's just super exciting to see the amount of enthusiasm from the development community, because I think this is where a lot of surprises are going to come from, and I think a lot of delight and beauty and differentiation is going to come from.
That's been the most interesting thing to me about watching the rise of the indies across the past couple of years, is playing really unique, interesting games that are completely different and very innovative and smaller. And in a good way, though, right? I have limited time as an adult, and it's been nice to pick up and play something quickly. And the other major innovation that we've seen across the past couple of years, at least in my opinion, has been the Oculus Rift, right? And we briefly discussed this before, but I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Have you checked it out? Have you used it?
I had a very brief exposure to it at the USC Film School, School of Interactive Arts, I think it's called. I might have got that wrong. Which is during E3 we had a chance to go down there,
Sure.
and some of the students have been working on some ideas on Oculus Rift, and so I had a chance to play around with it. But over the years I've enjoyed various interactions with VR type headsets, and it's a very immersive way of experiencing the world.
Well, it's very different, right? Like it changes the way that I play a game a lot, and I think that when we come to these things and we see Xbox One or PlayStation 4 or new PC games for that matter, and there's graphical updates and there's cloud and there's stuff like that, but the real gameplay innovation that we've seen is the Oculus Rift seems to have so much more promise there, right? It seems like there's so much potential energy in something like that versus the kind of not so great VR stuff we've seen in the past, the virtual boys of the world, if you will.
Right.
I'd just love to kind of hear more about how do you feel about using it? Is there an interest in bringing that kind of stuff to the consoles? I don't know.
Well, we very purposefully designed, you can't see them on this picture, but we very purposefully designed Xbox One to be extendable, and there is high-speed interfaces on the device that would allow us to communicate with a wide variety of accessories or external devices, but we don't have any particular announcements to make today.
Okay, all right. I think that's all for the show. Is there anything else in particular you wanted to make sure that people hear about from Microsoft or the Xbox One at Gamescom?
Well, as we were chatting earlier, I had the privilege, I guess, to go and spend some time with the Respawn guys earlier on, and had a chance to play Titanfall for the first time. I've seen their presentations, and they've always made incredible video presentations over the last couple of months, but it was my first time to get hands-on a controller and actually play the game. And it's an amazing video game moment when you go from being a soldier running around to then jumping into the mech, and the verticality and scale changes in the level, and now you feel like a really powerful Titan running around. And so to actually go into the Titan for me was like a real wow moment, and so felt really privileged to be able to get to play that before anybody else did here at Gamescom, and can't wait for that to come to Xbox One in 2014. And
we're seeing Xbox One in November. There was no release date here though. We'll probably hear that soon? We've only got a few months until November, right?
There's only a few months until November, and there's only 30 days in November, so a 1 in 30 choice.
All right. Well, hopefully it'll be before my birthday on the 30th. Thank you. I appreciate that your time today, Phil.
Great to see you. Thanks very much.